Hello, 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 Love Revolution beloveds. Y'all, every single time I get to interview somebody, of course, every time I say they are so amazing because all 8 billion of us are so amazing. However, something about this gentleman is just like just a little niche above. There's something about him. I don't know if there's like this soul connection or this heart-centeredness or the fact that he is so focused on making connections and really understanding our interconnection. And so I literally could talk to him for about 4 hours. We're going to try to keep this to 15 minutes. And so this is just a tiny little bit of the amazing app that he has developed. And so with that, Kevin, welcome, welcome, welcome to Love Revolution. Tell the folks a little bit about you, and then let's talk about Uchi.
Well, thanks, Dr. Roz. I'm super excited to be here. I'll try to be brief because I can go on and on about stuff because I am, as passionate as you about love and connection, and that's really what I want to help bring to the world. Really quick, my background is actually biomedical engineering. I've spent a lot of time digging deep into problems and trying to understand the root problem, specifically in like spinal pathology and designing, implants and instruments to address that, which has led to like, more than 75 patents and publications and so on. But then I veered toward human behavior and was doing a lot of work in research and development in human behavior, which sent me down this path, which has really been going on for like 30 years now.
Wow.
Down this, I know it's like, yeah, 30 years working in human behavior. And where I've landed is on emotional health and how that differs from mental health and how that differs from emotional intelligence. These are all three separate things. They interrelate, but they're distinct. Um, and really just trying to the emotional health and which is really nurtured most by connection and relationships and love. And when we have that in our lives, our behaviors almost naturally improve with very little effort. And
Wow.
so, being a person who solves problems and tries to create solutions for the problems that have been identified, that's where Uchi comes into play as a way to help people really connect with those who matter most to them.
Mm,
Because I would love for all 8 billion people on the planet to all know each other and love each
yes.
other and connect with each other. That's literally not possible.
Right.
Um, but we can connect with the people closest to us, and that's what Uchi's all about.
Yes. 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 So let's dig into a little bit this emotional health. Did I say that right? Because I
Yeah.
think this is a brand new, like you, because I tend to kind of think in broad categories. So, like let's love all 8 billion people. So emotional health and emotional intelligence and all of that is all the same thing. And so you are a scientist and very precise and very exact. And so let's talk about emotional health through the lens of Uchi, like if you can demonstrate it, through
hmm
what you're doing in the app.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely appreciate the generalist approach. I'm very much a generalist. Um, and I also really enjoy simplifying things. I think we overcomplicate a lot. I've seen that in engineering design. I've seen that in the world of psychology, where we overcomplicate. And I really don't believe humans are that complicated. We're just another animal on the planet, another species on the planet, and every living species on the planet I believe, has the same exact goal, which is survival. And how do we get there?
Mm,
So, um, when it comes to emotional health, and again, we hear this generalizing of health and wellness, mind, body,
yes,
spirit.
yes.
But right there, we're doing ourselves a disservice because we forget mind, body, heart, and spirit. And
Mm,
heart is the emotional health component. We say mind and we think, oh, well, that's mental and emotional. But when we do that, when we lump them together, that's doing a disservice. And then we don't address everything that needs to be addressed. When we say body, oh, that includes heart because your heart's in the body. Well, your brain's in the body, but we separate out mental, right? So we
gotcha.
really need to be separating out, in my opinion, because once you truly define something, it makes it and understand it, it makes it so much easier to address it. So I see all this wellness like the four tires on a car. So there's physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Those are the four tires. And if just
Oh,
one tire is running flat or low, the car doesn't run. Well, that's how we're operating as human beings, and we're
wow.
not nurturing our emotional health.
Wow.
So that's kind of how I that's not kind of that is how I see it. Um, and if we don't put air in that emotional health tire, we're not running well. And that is literally how we are today. And it presents in all different behaviors. So what it really boils down to is connection and relationships are what nurture your emotional health,
Hmm.
and emotional health is what drives behavior. So
Gotcha.
my
Okay.
definition, right? So my definition for emotional health is our ability to give and receive love, connection, and belonging. It's not about our ability to recognize and manage our emotions. You can look that up. That's the definition for emotional intelligence. That's
Okay.
different.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
different. And I won't go through the genesis of how I landed on my definition for emotional health, but I think it's far more accurate to how
Okay.
we are existing in this human
Yes.
experience. And then for mental health, again, we're confusing it so much, but I see mental health as our ability to focus, concentrate, think clearly, perform cognitive tasks.
Hmm.
This is our
Hmm.
reasoning ability. This is our decision-making ability. It's our frontal lobe,
Yes.
right? Our
Yes.
prefrontal cortex,
Yes.
right? That's your mental, that's your brain.
Yes.
But your amygdala is managing all your subconscious, and your emotions are rooted in your amygdala, which is your midbrain. And if you get triggered by something emotionally painful, like being called stupid or dumb or, losing status in society or whatever, if you're feeling judged or shamed, then your amygdala triggers on like, oh, that's a threat. So when your amygdala triggers on, your prefrontal cortex turns off.
Wow.
That's why we do all these stupid, crazy, insane things. That's why we do behaviors that are not good for us because we're
Yes.
not thinking about it. We're just feeling it
We're
and we're just
reacting.
trying to ease the pain,
Yes.
and the pain's emotional.
Yes.
So that's sort
Wow.
of a big nutshell. Does
Wow. 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 Because
that
I
make
love
sense?
many people, then it 1000% makes sense. And I want to dig into this a little bit more because I am so off the charts extroverted. Like on every single of those tests, I am 10 out of 10. Like as far E as you can get, that is me. And I
Right.
I literally like I can go in the bathroom and make a best friend. I can, make a best
Right.
friend with the cashier. Like I make friends easily. And one of the things that I'm hearing, Kevin, are people, so I'm 55, so people within like 10 years of my age range saying it is so hard to make adult friends. Now, for me, and
Mhm.
we can also talk about, the definition of friend. But when you talk about connections and conversations and relationships, if I needed to have, let's say somebody challenged me and they said, okay, Elizabeth, you need to have lunch with a different person every day for the next 60 days, then I could do that.
You could probably do it for a whole year.
I probably could. I probably could. And then if you let me eat on Zoom, well, I could do it for the next 9,000 years because
Mhm.
I'm constantly meeting new people. And so because of that, then it's one of those things I don't think about because I think it's either innate or I learned it so early that I don't realize I'm doing it. But for people who are struggling, how what are your recommendations? And then I really do want you to talk about Uchi because it is an amazing tool. So
Yeah. Well, there was a lot in that. I could go in a lot of
I am a
directions.
lot, Kevin. I mean, there we go. I'm
Um,
a lot.
but something that I'm gonna, I'll call you out even. What
Okay.
I've learned over my 30 years is the more extreme the behavior, the deeper the emotional pain.
Hmm.
So, and I used to be an extreme extrovert as well.
Hmm.
Um, So you could be doing cocaine or heroin, that's an extreme behavior, or
Hmm.
you could be an overachiever, and that's an extreme behavior, or you
Hmm.
can be an extreme extrovert, that's an extreme behavior, or
Gotcha.
you could be a total recluse, and that's an extreme behavior. And
Gotcha.
what I've learned over again decades of digging into all this and working in this area is the more extreme the behavior, the deeper the pain. And I would wonder, and I'm not trying to, psychoanalyze you or emotionally health analyze you or anything, but we need to understand that socializing is not the same as connecting.
Mm.
So we can have lots and lots and lots of friends and lots of contact and have a good time,
Mm-hmm.
but are we really feeling truly heard and understood by all those
Mm.
people? This is why I don't like the term social health as one of the elements of wellness,
Okay.
because I think social is a little bit too it's often too superficial.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so anyway, I don't want to go all the way down this line because we don't have all day, but I think we need to understand that you can go to happy hour and be in a room or a bar or a restaurant full of people and still feel alone. Some people feel alone in in a marriage,
Oh, yes. Yes.
right?
Yes.
Some people feel
Yes.
alone in a
Yes.
house full of people, or
Mm-hmm.
a school full of people, or a workplace full of people.
Mm-hmm.
That's lack of connection. And we know from the data that we're having a global epidemic of disconnection.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I created, that's one of the reasons why I created Uchi as a way to help people connect, but connect with those who matter most to them.
Mm-hmm.
And Uchi is a social app, but it is not a social media
Right.
because it's invite only and there's nothing public on Uchi. Uchi is a way, it's guided communication. So it's a way to just get to know yourself and get to know those who matter most to you. Because the more we know and understand each other, the
Mm-hmm.
closer we feel. And
Mm-hmm.
the closer we feel, the more the more we feel like we matter and the
Mm-hmm.
more valuable we feel. And in our brain, how valuable we feel translates to how loved we feel. So
Mm-hmm.
we try to find value by having lots of friends or find value by getting good grades or winning a golf tournament or becoming president of the United States or being a CEO or making a lot of money. We try to find
Mm-hmm.
all these ways,
Mm-hmm.
another degree to get
Mm-hmm.
to feel valuable,
Mm-hmm.
but you said at the top of our call, everybody's unique, everybody's valuable in their own way. And I really believe that, but that's unconditional, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not how we're raising our kids. Not at home, not at
Right.
school, not in society.
Right.
So Uchi is a way to really connect with your people so that everyone has a chance to feel heard and feel understood and feel like you matter because
Yeah.
then you feel loved. And that
Right.
makes us happy and it eases our pain from not feeling loved. So Uchi helps you feel loved.
Mm-hmm.
And, you don't see too many people who feel loved that are shooting up schools,
Right. Right.
right? Or
Right.
trying to put
Right.
down someone who's not the same color or the same religion as them,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because they're different. So
Mm-hmm.
when we all feel valued by our people,
Yes. Yes.
and that means we feel loved by our people,
Yes.
then our behaviors naturally improve.
Yeah.
But you have to keep doing it because, the air gets, drains out of that tire. So it's just like with physical health, you can't just eat one bowl of vegetables or go for, one workout and think, oh, I'm done. I never have to work on my physical health again,
Right. Right.
right?
Right.
Relationships and your mental health and your spiritual health are all the same way. You have to constantly nurture them to keep them fully inflated, to keep them fully nourished,
Mm-hmm.
right? The tank full, the air in the tire full, and then life just goes so well when all your tires are full.
Right. Right. Well, I'm in Atlanta, and I mean, Atlanta traffic is a whole thing. And
Yeah.
and I use Waze everywhere I go, and she is
Yeah.
constantly saying, there's a car on the shoulder ahead, car on the shoulder ahead. Vehicle, that's what she says. I'm like, yeah. And invariably it's one of the tires are blown, or and so like that's such a beautiful image because, and I think you and I kind of talked about this a little bit before, but and this may not be a direction you want to go, but for me, like you say, everything is on threes, mind, body, spirit. And so it's such a beautiful image that it's four. And that even if you've got three of the four, that's not good
It
enough.
doesn't matter. And
Right.
that's where we're running. And that's why we're seeing all of these behaviors, all these mental health problems, which are just behaviors
Hmm.
that are out of the norm.
Hmm.
Behaviors are just symptoms, they're just signals.
Right. Right.
But the mental health industry treats it like the problem. So they try to address the problem of addiction, but it's so rare that any sort of treatment is fully 100% integrating the family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that's where it's really coming from.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
same thing with depression, anxiety, suicide, eating disorders, gun violence, bullying, narcissism, overachieving. I mean, there is a root to all of it. This is the
Yeah.
generalization part, right?
Yeah.
And when you put air in the right tire, and there's research in all of this. I've been doing this there's research in all of these areas, but each subject matter is not talking to the other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we don't get a consensus. And again, we're still just focusing on the behavior,
Yeah.
the symptom,
Yeah.
not the root cause.
That's right.
But
And
when you address the root cause, the symptoms like almost without effort go away. Now, if you have a
yes.
heroin addiction, that's a different story. But generally speaking, the symptoms dramatically, even the heroin addiction,
Mhm.
dramatically improve once you start feeling connected.
Yes. Yes. I have a massage therapist that I've worked with since 2014. And I had been working with her for about a year, and I walk in her, treatment room, and she goes, "What is our body asking for today?" And I was like, "My body doesn't talk to me." And she goes, "Yes, it does." But I had siloed it. You know,
Yes,
it
exactly.
was not integrated. And so today, like, I
Right.
understand what that means. And, in so many ways, Kevin, I'm almost unrecognizable from 10 years ago because understanding how it's all interconnected.
Oh,
um,
it's all
for
interconnected.
me, it's the love-centered piece, and it's really, going back to Dr. King's philosophy of nonviolence. That's where
Mhm.
everything that I do is grounded and rooted. And so for you, being rooted in science, and then this amazing app. So talk a little bit about the app. So I know we've got to
So a
close
little
up,
bit more.
but
So the app
yeah,
is free. Anybody can use it. Anyone can download it and create an account. And basically the way it works is we have this massive database of questions, and you just answer questions from the app. And the rules are only your Uchi friends can read your answers. So it's very, very private. I mean, this is why we're trusted by schools, public schools, courts, juvenile
yeah.
courts trust us, because it's so private. So only your Uchi friends can read your answers, and they can only read your answer if they've already answered that question first.
Oh, wow.
So you have to contribute in order to consume. And just like relationships,
Uh,
you can't have a one-way relationship. Relationships are a
right.
two-way exchange. And so often with
Right.
parents and kids, it's a one-way exchange,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Parents interrogate kids. The same thing with teachers and students. Teachers are always talking, the students never get a chance to be heard. Same thing with in the workplace with
Yes.
bosses and employees,
Yes.
right? So across the board from the home to school to work, we're not listening to
Beautiful.
each
That's
other.
right.
And that causes pain. So with Uchi, you just share your perspective. There's no right or wrong answer. Just share, your thoughts on the question and and hear what the people who matter to you, what how they see the world. And once you start getting like, oh, I had no idea Dr. Oz felt that way, or Dr. Roz, sorry,
That's
Dr.
okay.
Roz felt that way. Um, but I feel the same way. Or,
Yeah.
oh, I had no idea she felt that way, but now I can see where she's coming from. It's things like that. So that's all free. And then there's a fee-based side because there's no ads, there's no investors, there's no influencers or any of that kind of thing. But the way we generate revenue is if you want to create your own little separate Uchi tribe, and you have your free side, but you can create Uchi tribes where you're the leader and you come up with the questions
Oh, wow.
and you invite a subset of people
Wow.
and and all of you in a little Uchi tribe, which is usually up to 10 people in an Uchi tribe,
Okay.
you all answer the questions, including the leader, and you read each other's answer and have conversation back and forth using the written word only. There's no pictures, there's no video, and it's amazing what comes out in the written word. We're still operating from this myth that the only way to connect is to be face to face or in person.
Yes.
And that got exacerbated through COVID because we couldn't physically be together.
Right.
But we have 2,500 years of data showing that two people can have a profoundly deep connection
That's right.
just from writing letters,
Yes, exactly.
right? And
Exactly.
oh, by the way, the book is always better than the movie. And
Yeah,
that's the written word.
it's the
So
written
Uchi's
word.
only the written word. And when you have a chance to share an answer to whatever question, like look outside your window and describe what you see, that's a chance for self-reflection. That's a chance for your own personal development, your own personal growth. That's healing for yourself. That's journaling, right? Which is very
Wonderful.
therapeutic. But
Yeah.
then you get to share that with the people who matter to you. So with the Uchi tribes, teachers can use it, bosses can use it, parents can use it, kids and friends can use it, whatever. You have to pay a small fee, but you come up with the questions, you create the little group, and when you're in that little group, everybody in there has no access to anything else that's going on
Mm,
in your regular Uchi. It's all just independent and isolated to that Uchi
mm,
tribe. And
yeah.
you can create as many Uchi tribes as you want. You can be a part of as many as you want. Again, if you're creating, you pay the fee, but you can join as many as you're invited to because Uchi tribes are invite only. It's not like, oh, I want to talk to people about basket weaving. Well, you can already do that on Facebook groups and meetup groups
Yes.
and a zillion other ways. But if
Yes.
you really want to cultivate a group of people,
Yes.
like a running club or your class or your club at school or a group of principals, from different districts or whatever, you can do that. And what's so cool about the Uchi tribes is that when you're answering, up to 10 questions in an Uchi tribe, that's the limit. Um, those conversations usually last about 1 to 2 weeks and then you're done. It's
Yeah.
not like a Facebook group where you're there like indefinitely and nothing's happening.
Right. Right.
You're
Right.
in, you're out. You can always access the Uchi tribe, but the real activity typically lasts about 1 to 2 weeks.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, I also am thinking about parents with students in particular, particularly like this is something I talk to my debt-free degree students about and their parents and their family is have a time when you're going to talk about college because breakfast, lunch, and dinner and in the car on the way to school and in the car on the way home, like you're having these conversations too often. And the students
You're,
don't need
yeah,
to hear that and the parents don't need to talk about that often.
it's
So
too
like
much, right? But
kind of
that's
having
another
that
one of the
schedule.
problems. That's another one of the problems that we're doing as parents and as teachers and as counselors and coaches and therapists. And that's another one of the problems is that we're always focusing on some specific task at hand.
Yes.
We need a break from all of that. I
Yes.
need a break just to get to know you, Dr.
Yes.
Roz, as a
Yes.
person. How
Yeah.
do you see the world?
Yeah.
How do you see looking out your window?
Yeah.
I don't care about the work that you're doing or the goal that you have
Yeah.
with your exercise or like I just want to know how you see the world.
Yeah.
Let's take a
Yeah.
break from being always on task.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's what Uchi allows also.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
And we need a break because we're all
Yeah.
burned out as it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we need a break from all of this go, 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 task, task, task. Again,
Right.
that's how we try to prove our value by
Mm-hmm.
how much we accomplish. But
Mm-hmm.
when we take a step back and just connect as people,
Mm-hmm.
everything relaxes,
Yes,
everything opens up.
it does.
You're
It
just
does.
happier. So Uchi's just there to, a question a day keeps the therapist away kind of thing, like
Yes. I love
we
it.
we just need a tool that intentionally, consistently can help people nurture their emotional health because we're eating and exercising for our physical health. We're going to school and work, which is our mental health. We're taking care of our family, or we're going to school, or we have a job, or we have a project. That's nurturing our spirit,
Mm-hmm.
what purposes we have in life. But when are we consciously, intentionally, deeply nurturing our connections?
Right. Right.
And that's why it's called uchi also, because uchi is the Japanese word for in group or inner circle. So it's
Mm-hmm.
all about connecting with your people, not everybody, just
Right.
your people.
Your
But you
people.
can have lots of different uchis.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, Love Revolution, beloveds. You can see why I love this man so very much and why he is so fascinating to me and why I absolutely love Uchi and why I was so delighted to have him as a part of Love Revolution. And so I hope that you all will reach out and download Uchi like I have and get a Uchi tribe and let's focus on that real connection. Is there anything, Kevin, that I didn't ask you, or one last thing that you want to say that just to wrap this up?
Sure. Just to know, again, you said, get your Uchi tribe. When
Yes.
you join Uchi and you just invite friends to your Uchi, that's not an Uchi tribe. That's just your Uchi,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Then you can go above and beyond and
Ah,
start
okay.
and create your own Uchi
Thank you.
tribes where you come up with the questions, but you can just use Uchi free, just like you use Facebook and LinkedIn and
Okay.
TikTok for free with your people.
Excellent. Love it. Thank you for that
So, yeah.
clarification. That's great.
Mhm.
That's great. That's great. All right. Until next time, y'all. So delighted that Kevin was here with us and lots of ways that we can use this, both debt-free degree and leading with love in workplaces, in schools. And I even love that he was talking about in the court system and all of that. Let's figure out how we can have conversations and really, really get connected. All right, beloveds, until next time, see y'all. Bye-bye.